Geek Vibes Live is rated G for geek.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of Geek Vibes Nation Live Interview Presents. So I'm your host, Tia, and I have an amazing episode for you guys. We are actually going to be talking to the creator of HBOMax's Love Life, Sam Boyd. Sam, you're with Tia?
Hey, Tia.
Sam, hi, how are you? This is Tia from Geek Vibes Nation. Thank you so much for taking a moment to speak with me today.
Of course. Thanks for wanting to talk to me.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally took a chance when I reached out to you. It's like, I hope he doesn't think that I'm a crazy person. I just am a big fan of your show.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. And I had seen some of the things you'd written about it. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. First of all, I just want to say congratulations, by the way. The series has gotten so much positivity thrown its way, so much so that they decided to speed up the release of the episodes. Originally, it was supposed to be a week by week. Yeah. So, I mean, how was it for you getting that news that they were deciding to speed up that process?
I was really excited by it. I mean, I think it's the kind of show where, because it's a half hour, and I think, because the episodes are so dense, we always felt like it was something that would be kind of best watched, not necessarily all in one go, but I think definitely at least in chunks. That when you are only able to watch kind of one at a time, it's obviously fun, but that I think especially the way that we're releasing them, where now, last Thursday we released 4, 5, and 6 together, which is kind of this little trilogy in the middle of the season and feels almost like its own complete story, that we were able to release those together like a little movie, and having released the first 3, before that, and that we'll release the last 4 in a couple of days, this coming Thursday, breaking it up into kind of little movie-sized chunks like that was really fun, and we were just super excited when we heard, obviously how happy the network was with it and how much people seem to be responding to it, but also just that would be the way people would get to see it.
Yeah, when the first 3 episodes dropped, I watched them all, and when I knew that it was going to be week by week, I was a little disappointed because I felt like I'm just the type of person I need more. So I was certainly happy that it got dropped in these pairings, but yeah, no, as you said, the episodes 4, 5, and 6 were certainly its own little series there, with Anna Kendrick at the forefront, who is absolutely amazing. So I would just love to know, what was the process of finding her? Did you originally think of her when you were writing the role of Darby? Kind of walk us through that.
Yeah. So, Anna's just unbelievable in the show, and I think, I'm so proud of the show in large part because of how amazing her performance is and because of what she did with the character. And in terms of getting to work with her, it was just a really lucky thing that we were able to get her the script and she wanted to do it. As far as thinking about her or anyone when I was writing, it's funny, I normally, I actually don't really picture actors when I'm writing, and I don't know, I mean, that might even just be because I'm early enough in my career that I don't, I don't have access to it. Sort of like, it would be pretty presumptuous for me to be like writing it for Anna Kendrick when I don't know her, and I, made one movie and stuff like that. So I think I generally am just kind of trying to imagine the characters as I write. But then, once I finished the pilot and people really responded to it and we were able to get it to her and she wanted to do it, it was a total no-brainer. And she was just, she was an incredible collaborator and really kind of instrumental in building the character and fleshing Darby out and sort of, crafting that journey, along with my co-showrunner, Bridget Bedard, who was amazing as well. And I just, feel lucky to have gotten to work with her.
Yeah, and you can tell that she is just taking on this role really well, and she's presenting it in such a relatable fashion. The series in general is so relatable to me, and as you said, you're early in your writing career. What was the inspiration for Love Life, and how did it end up on HBO's doorstep, essentially?
Right. Yeah, it's an idea that I had for a little bit. It actually even started as an idea for a book of short stories. And I just thought it would be interesting that, the first notion was this idea that it would be interesting to do a character study about one person, but that the sort of building blocks of that character study were each of their relationships with someone else. And, I've always really been interested in time as kind of a source of conflict in storytelling, and I've always been really averse to plot contrivance. So I think especially with relationship stories or romantic comedies, I'm always looking for new ways to, tell stories that feel more like life but are still entertaining by, being able to look at timing as one of the great kind of sources of conflict in especially our love lives, I think. And so I was really inspired by, a lot of movies, and we obviously shot this traditionally and cheat the fact that Anna's aging, but, I was inspired by stuff that did that for real, whether it's, Boyhood or the Before Sunrise movies or, these French movies from the 60s and 70s about a character named Antoine Doinel that started with The 400 Blows, sort of series of movies that explore one character over a long period of time and show the sort of different phases of their life. That was always a really beautiful and interesting way of telling a story to me. So it just sort of started there, and it started with, this idea of, I was saying it literally started as an idea for a book of short stories, but then it became an idea for a TV show that I wanted to feel like a book of short stories and like a story cycle that, you could kind of give this literary sensibility and that it's one big story, but that it's also 10 little stories. So, yeah.
And I can certainly feel that literary vibe to it as it goes pretty much essentially chapter by chapter. Personally, right. I loved Augie, and I also loved Bradley, but that's probably because I'm a huge Scoot McNairy fan, so I'm biased there. But
hard not to be.
Yeah, exactly. Who has been your favorite so far, or have we not seen that person yet? I know, that's probably unfair to ask you.
No, it's fine. I don't know if I can play favorites. I feel like they're all my children, so to speak. But I think what's been interesting is seeing, when we wrote the show, you're trying to make it all these different things, and then you end up with a show, and I'm really happy with how different each of these, relationships feels, whether they're romantic or not, which are, just to tease a little bit of kind of what's to come this week. But I think, we just always were trying to make them feel as unique as possible. And my favorite thing always was the idea that people would have different favorites, that you can say you love Augie or you love Bradley, and someone else could love Danny Two Phones. And, it's hard to imagine anybody having Magnus be their favorite. But, I think I always was interested in not having a clear favorite and not having a clear, winner, because that's not what it was about to me. It was more about Darby's journey and these different connections she has. And so we really wanted each of them to kind of stand on their own and be just as compelling and feel just as real as all the others.
Right, exactly. So one character who I would say probably isn't my favorite is Magnus, just because that story with Magnus, that was such a shocker to me. because, Love Life is this rom-com, it's lighthearted, and then suddenly we get this relationship with Magnus where at first he seems great, and then suddenly it just goes downhill. And I really desperately wanted to talk to you about, what was the process there, and also that final scene between them at the end of episode 6, which was took me out of my element, but done so well. So I would just love to talk about that for a second.
Yeah, of course. I think in collaborating with the writer's room and with Anna and with, Bridget Bedard, my co-showrunner, one of the things that emerged early on in the process was the idea of having one of the love interests evolve into someone who was pretty toxic and scary, and that we felt like, even though this was, sort of ostensibly a romantic comedy, that we would be lying if we tried to tell a realistic story about all the people that someone's with across their 20s, and that they were all just kind of, hunky-dory, that if they were all kind of as sweet as the Augie situation in the pilot or something like that, that would be, pretty flat and feel pretty, not real. And so that was a situation where I really kind of stepped back, and because, the way that I work, I love to be so collaborative. It was, just sort of opening the conversation up and having, Bridget and Anna and the writers in the writers' room, all kind of come together with different experiences or different stories they'd heard and ways to kind of, create this character so that it wouldn't be, we never wanted it to feel like an after school special. We always still wanted it to be kind of entertaining. But I think one of the things I talked about with Anna from the beginning was the idea of the kind of guy who is so sort of judgmental of everybody and seems so volatile that when he likes you, it's sort of, you can't believe it. And the shine of that light is kind of this, entrancing, transfixing thing. And being able to, I think we really wanted to try to tell a story where we could do what you're talking about, which is started in a place that seems okay or seems great, and he seems fun, and he's kind of this gregarious, life of the party kind of, New York guy, but then that obviously has this B-side that, is really different and gets pretty real. And using it all as this kind of movement towards something else we talked about in the writer's room a lot, which was building Darby up to a point where she could finally kind of harness her anger, having established her as this character who I think sublimates a lot of her own desires and feelings and is a little bit of a shapeshifter, or a people pleaser, that we would be able to finally give her this moment where she could just, sort of let that all out, and everything that had been kind of built up and pent up over the course of the season could sort of uncoil in that final scene in episode 6, which also specifically was based on something that had happened to Bridget Bedard, to Bridget, my co-showrunner, down to the hot sauce on the single leg, and and so and you hear a story like that, and you're just like, that's gotta go on the show.
Yeah, that's even more amazing, knowing that you drew such inspiration from real life. I love what you brought up there, where she was more like Darby has kind of been a shapeshifter. We see her enjoying sports with Augie. We see her kind of getting into more of the socialite scene with Bradley. So this is really her kind of turning moment. So that I'm just super excited to see where that goes. I certainly hope that she follows through and left him. Another couple that I'd love to talk about briefly is, will Jim and Sarah make up?
I think it's funny because for me, on the surface, the show, and this is intentional, but on the surface, the show starts with so many familiar elements because something that's interesting and fun for me as a writer is to pull the rug out from under those things and to deepen them. So, on every level, where I think definitely someone could watch the show and just roll their eyes and think, oh, it's another rom-com in New York about a, woman looking for love. And that, we are then able to push past that and deepen it and surprise people and bring in other elements and tones and atmospheres and feelings. And by that same token, a very early idea with Jim and Sarah was to take them to a place people wouldn't expect, because I think, especially in television comedy, people expect those characters to not be real and to just kind of have the happy relationship the whole time so that they can always be the counterpoint to Darby's kind of, many different relationships. But being able to build this story where Darby and Sarah are kind of two sides of the same coin and growing up and growing apart a little bit, which kind of comes to a head in some episodes that'll come out later this week. I guess I don't want to concretely answer your question just because I think it'll spoil it, but I do, it's funny, I think on every level, and this applies to Jim and Sarah, it applies to the end of the finale, I've always been more interested in the real ending or the right ending than the happy ending. And I feel so often, especially at this point in, something like a romantic comedy, if you give people what they think they want, they'll realize that, it's boring or they've seen it before. And so it's fun for us to kind of challenge ourselves to come up with new ways to new places to take those stories and new ways to end them, that hopefully will surprise the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, as someone who is in a long-term relationship, I saw a lot of myself in Sarah and Jim's relationship. So yeah. I just really liked them as a whole.
Thank you.
We have no problem. Thank you. We have 4 episodes coming out this week, and I know that you don't want to spoil anything, but I mean, what should audiences expect? What should they brace themselves for?
I guess, it's silly to say expect the unexpected or something, but I think the same way that probably a lot of viewers were in no way prepared for where we took the Magnus storyline in episodes 4, 5, and 6 that came out last week, that episodes 7 through 10 that come out this Thursday, we are just continuing to hopefully push the boundaries and subvert expectations and subvert cliches and archetypes. And so, we'll see, I think we'll see different kinds of relationships. We'll see, some people we've seen before. We'll see new people. And, we'll I think there's a lot in store that people will really appreciate, but hopefully that they won't see coming.
Well, we definitely saw in the pilot episode that Darby becomes pregnant at some point, so I am very interested in seeing how that plays in.
Yes.
But I will say
there is a payoff for that, but I think by the same token, there's a payoff for that hopefully is not what people are expecting.
I love it. I can't wait. Sam, before I let you go, so obviously this is an anthology series. Do you have any ideas in store for season 2? Are you kind of taking your time thinking about it?
Yeah, we've been putting some ideas together for season 2, but I think, from the very first germ of this idea, as much as I was excited to look at a different relationship in every episode, I was just as excited to look at a different person every season. And so if we're lucky enough to, do a second season, let alone, several seasons, I think the idea, to me, Darby's story in and of itself is something I'm very proud of, but the true potential of this series, I think, lies in its ability to reset and in our ability to pick up and follow someone else's life and make that life, make that life feel important too. And to show viewers that, all of our love lives are that important, that all of us can kind of, go on a journey like this, or have gone on a journey, and so as far as, who the characters would be from season to season, we would never want to tell the same story twice. And I think we also are really interested in exploring as many facets of the human experience as possible, and having the characters be as different as possible from one another from season to season, whether that's in terms of gender or, sexual orientation or ethnicity. And so it definitely won't be, I think what'll be important to us is keeping the things that people are comforted by and that people are used to from the first season, carrying over certain elements so that it still feels like the same show, but also the same way we are trying to surprise people within the season, that, the people we will follow over the course of an eventual series, if we're lucky enough to do it more than once, is, just something that will constantly kind of shift and subvert expectations and surprise people, and kind of show, all the different ways that there are to love somebody, and all the different, as many sort of life experiences and romantic experiences as possible.
Well, certainly fingers crossed. I'm sitting here hoping for that. But
thank you.
Sam, thank you so much for, again, taking the moment to speak with me. Thank you for creating Love Life. And certainly I hope that maybe one day we can get you back on here and talk about the final 4 episodes and any other projects that you have upcoming.
Thanks, Tia. Yeah, I'd love to. And thanks for talking.
No problem. Thanks, Sam.
Awesome.
All right, everyone. That was Sam Boyd. As I'm sure you can tell, I feel, and I hope you feel, that was definitely worth the wait. Sam brought up a lot of great points. I am super excited. As we mentioned, the final 4 episodes literally premiere in 2 days, and we get to find out what's going on with Darby's pregnancy. He alluded to this, and I think I saw a episode that is going to center on Darby and Sarah's friendship, and that is super important because, as we know, Love Life is not just about romantic love. It is about all sorts of love, friendship love, which can be just as rewarding as romantic love, if not more, because your friends will always be there for you. But no, seriously, everyone, make sure you check out Love Life this Thursday, and please give us a like, subscribe. We, as Geek Vibes Nation, are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere and anywhere. Please engage with us and let us know what you think about Love Life, and just have a fantastic rest of your day, guys. Bye.